Would you like to get to blowing our nose with dynamite this week?
Let's get to AEW Dynamite, which this week was live from an arena near you.
June the 5th. Where were they? I don't even remember. Do you have that information in front of you?
You know what? I'm sure I do, but I'll save this other thing for later. Let me
oh, good Lord.
AEW Dynamite was in... These are the ratings.
Colorado.
Loveland, Colorado. At the Blue FCU Arena.
The Blue Arena? What?
The Blue FCU Arena.
Well, FCU too, motherfucker.
For the record, 2,600 tickets distributed.
Oh, Jesus. Distributed, comp and everything, whether they came or not. But I remembered Colorado finally because of MJF's interview. He said, and pardon me if my eyes are red. But MJF came out and did they had no intro or nothing, no opening theme. It's into his music, and they had real MJF chants, not piped in shit. And he's our scumbag. All that you could tell that it had the sound of a small group in a big building, but they were all making the noise. It's not his fault, the many drawbacks the rest of the company has. It's got them to the point where he had to go out in a big building with 2,600 people in it, maybe. And he stole the show. He's an incredible performer. He's quick. He's witty. He's got inflection. He's a show off. And he's articulate, and he's got great material, and it's all his. And we'll talk about when he was interrupted. But at first, that's the thing is at one point, he was the best thing on the show, but there were people you wanted to see fight him or him fight or whatever cart you want to put before the horse. You could see the matches, right? Now it's just, I just want him to come out and talk because it's better than whatever else they're doing. But what the fuck can he do here now that means anything with the rest of these fucking morons? You know what I'm saying?
That's probably the biggest problem. MJF is the biggest star in AEW by far. He's the one who moves the numbers and has traditionally for ratings, for merch, when he turned babyface, for pay-per-view buys, his feuds when they played out on pay-per-view, the good ones, not like Chris Jericho. They've done business. And they need him, as I said before, more than ever. And he goes out there and he gets a better reaction than everyone still. Maybe a smaller crowd. He still gets the best reaction. The problem is, what's he going to do? Not to steal from Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But him and Roosh is interesting. Okay.
Oh, no, it's not.
But after that, I brought up before, him and Ospreay is something I think people would really want to see, but it doesn't look like we're going to get that anytime soon. Omega's not around. That's a match we never got.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder if we're not going to get MJF and Ospreay at Wembley. Because why else would they be fucking already trying to give us Ospreay and Swerve? Unless they, because...
But to answer your question, yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. MJF is still the biggest star on this show. They need him on this show. But you almost rather have him just come out there and rip on the roster than actually do anything with them.
Because he can tell the truth in such an entertaining way. I don't know, he reminds me of somebody. But that's the point. He put himself over... And he listed his accomplishments. He rattled off the names that he's beaten that Ostrich hasn't. And, he pissed on his territory again. But then suddenly music interrupts. And it's Rush. It's fucking seriously Rush.
Roosh.
Him.
Roosh, not Rush. Roosh.
Well, listen, quit eating fucking beans late at night. You wouldn't have that condition. And here comes Rush, and he fucking gets on the microphone and he loudly gargles oatmeal. What the? And it's the MJF has to make fun. I'm sorry, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
He learned how to say horns between the last promo and this promo.
And there was a line where he called Ostrich the Cockney cockhead. You know, and he can get away with these things with the wink and the nod and everything. When Moxley just comes out and just fuck. But here, the whole point is this guy can barely speak. I've said before, I don't know if he can speak Spanish, any better if he can speak English. But the fans don't give a shit. They were whatting him. This audience was whatting him. Where it's not, it didn't even used to be cool to do that. And MJF had to make fun of him. I didn't get any of that. And you know, the MJF is having to, as a baby face, or at least try to get people behind him, he's having to say, boy, Tony Khan, I thought he was bad at running this place, but the Elite are worse, because it's obvious what's going on here. And MJF blisters Rush while trying to kind of put him over, or he tried to, but... And he spoke to him in Spanish and got bleeped, and then they had a big pull apart. But this is good. Nobody cares about Rush. And he was saying, "Where have you been gone?" At least I think that's what he was saying. "Where have you been gone? I've been here working." Well, we never see this fucking guy. Where has he been here working?
By the way, he was gone. Wasn't he healing up an injury? It's not like he was on vacation.
Yeah, I think he's been hurt longer than fucking MJF was. And the last time we saw him was when he beat the shit out of Jungle Jack off. And that's the thing. Nobody cares about him, and he thinks he's a star and doesn't want to sell anything. So why do we want to see this with MJF, who is probably now the best in-ring worker they got in the company in terms of logical, sensible fucking work?
In terms of getting fans invested in matches, I think you could argue too.
That's logical, sensible fucking work.
You know, what did I say? MJF, every time he has to repair himself after a thing, like he did with the Chris Jericho program, he starts off with a few weeks of feuding with someone who, if they were going to elevate, here's the chance. So here's Rush's chance. He could really take the opportunity by the hands. But I don't know. I mean, the other problem is MJF is back as a heel. And it's almost impossible, and he should be a heel, but it's almost impossible for him to be him and not get cheered, especially against a guy that the fans aren't invested in. It's not like he's coming out there, you know, like...
Is he a heel?
I'm pretty sure he's a heel.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. Because he's knocking everybody. And he's saying he's the best, the same thing he's always done. And this is where they put themselves, in that the people want him to be an asshole and be the real devil and be the guy who says horrible things about people and does horrible things to people so bad that there's nobody strong enough that he can betray, fuck over, or goddamn ruin their life in some kind of way, that people will take their side. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I mean, that's the problem in a way with the way things have been booked out and the lack of star power in AEW. Any young guy that MJF tries to elevate is not going to be able to get over past MJF. And in terms of main event guys, again, Will Ospreay in him is something. Swerve in him could probably be something. Past that, who? Past that, what main event level guy? Danielson, we've seen. Moxley, we've seen. Jericho, we never need to see again. So I think those are the two things for MJF to look forward to on the horizon.
I don't see long-term money in MJF and Ostrich simply because MJF is not going to have one of those matches where they're doing goddamn constant gymnastics and fucking hurt himself and etc. So they would have to work, which would we've seen Ostrich can do when he's forced to. But I don't see a long rivalry there because, Bruv on the promos, it sounds great when he's out there by himself, but when he's trying to go back and forth with MJF, come on, seriously. Swerve maybe could step up verbally, but they've neutered him to the point where the Swerve of 3 months ago and MJF would have been holy shit. But now it's like,
I brought up Ospreay, so I'll bring it up here. He's one of the guys getting over. He's one of the guys they're pushing in their weird way, but he's still getting over on his own. And he was off this week. He was back home in England after, working 2 matches the previous week or whatever it was.
Somebody put out he's taking a sabbatical because of his grueling schedule.
And then he came out and said, "What sabbatical? I'll be back next week." But I guess the question is it hard to, if you know you have someone who's going to be home at least every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, is it hard to build around that person?
Well, no, if there was legitimate...
Actually, Roman Reigns has been home a lot, so I shouldn't even ask this question.
But no, if there was a legitimate good reason for it, then no, that you used to do that with legends that were working part-time or big names that would come in and draw you some money or help you out. But a guy that you've signed to be paid every fucking week to work basically 1 day a fucking week and wants to live in England, I don't give a goddamn. And if this was, again, a generation ago when people's payoffs were tied to the money they drew and the tickets they sold, you would have crawled across broken glass before you would have missed being on TV for a fucking week as a talent, as a main event guy. So I don't have any sympathy for either fucking side. I think they're both marks.
And one last thing on this from me, and then we'll talk about something else here. MJF was not on last week's show. We heard from a lot of listeners who said that last week's show, whatever bump in the number there was specifically because people thought MJF was going to be there, and he wasn't. He was back here this week, quarter 1. Was that the way you would have used him?
Well,
forget about the booking of it, but in terms of placement, is that how you would have
if I wanted to make sure that MJF was in the top-rated segment of the fucking show, yes. But they advertised it last week, MJF returns to Dynamite. At the top of the program. Why didn't they show? I know the other folks do it, but it's kind of working. Why didn't they show on the screen the goddamn whatever conveyance, vehicle, motorized carriage or whatever that he comes to the building in and his designer shoes step out and he's in the building? Holy shit, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? Welcome, blow off the fucking pyro. And here's the best match we can have to put on first and talk about what MJF might do later on. And put him at the top of the 9 o'clock hour.
You need good communicators on commentary for that. They don't have that.
Well, but I'm just saying, I'm saying what I would do. And then you could have people fucking running and fetching and carrying things and taking them to his door and knocking on a door and taking it, whatever the fuck. You could tease seeing him for the whole first hour. And then at the top of 9 o'clock, there you go in this pull apart. And then you could say, we're going to get a comment from him on the way, and you could shoot him on the way out to the 9:30 hour. Or it's all over and he's done. Thank you for your 15 minutes of service, viewers.
Well, maybe after the match with Roosh, which will either be on TV or at Forbidden Door. I'm not exactly sure what the building for. What they are building for in English here. Maybe MJF will be sore. Maybe he'll be achy. Maybe he'll need a good night's sleep because of this booking. Maybe he'll need a hookup for some CBD, and we know exactly where to send him.
Well, we don't even have to send him because they'll send you. Well, they'll send it to you, and then, boy, this stuff will send you. And that's our friends at CB Distillery and or the fine website cbdistillery.com. Because, Brian, we've talked about this before. Whether you want to sleep better, whether you want to recover from exercise better, whether you want to reduce pain, all these type of things. Have you heard about these surveys? 81% of customers experienced more calm. 80% said CBD helped with pain after physical activity. 90% said they slept better with CBD. And 1% said they saw birds in their garage. Have you heard about these surveys?
This is one of those ones I can't dispel.
Well, so right now, they've got over 2 million customers and a solid 100% money back guarantee. If you give them money and you don't like the shit it ain't like on the playground or out on the street corner, they'll give you your money back if you don't like their shit. Because it's no fluff, no fillers, pure, effective CBD solutions. Hey, you know what the CBD solutions are, don't you?
Well, I know they've got them.
Every problem can be solved with CBD.
Huh.
That's henceforth the solutions. Here, you're natural. None of the artificial sweeteners that you might find in other things that'll make you sleep or make you feel better. CBD comes from the earth, folks. It comes from nature. It comes from the goddess that rules us all on the island of, where was Wonder Woman's island? Goddamn. But to Paradise Island. That's where it comes from, and they truck it into Jersey, somewhere in Teterboro, and they make this stuff at CB Distillery.
That is not in any way how the process works, but you can trust CB Distillery to deliver you the finest CBD, the freshest CBD, the #1 CBD out there. Isn't that right, Jim?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, they can, and I'll tell you what, whether you'll start out feeling like you're in Teterboro and you'll end up on Pleasure Island. Right now, just visit cbdistillery.com and use the code JCE for 20% off. 20%, that's another thing you can't get on a playground, is a discount with a code. cbdistillery.com and use the code JCE for 20% off the fine products that will help you feel better and think better and be healthier in the long run. And you'll be able to run long distances. And probably without even people chasing you.
Okay, with CB
that's
Distillery.
What I got.
That's what you got. Once again,
cbdistillery.com, code JCE before you ask.
For all your CBD solutions, CB Distillery.